2 minutes. That's how long it took. On the 1st of June, 2015, the river cruise ship Dongfang Zhi Xing, the Eastern Star, was carrying 454 people up the Yangtze River near Jianli County in Hubei Province, China. Most of them were retirees, tourists in their 60s and 70s, 11 days into a sightseeing trip from Nanjing to Chongqing. 405 passengers, 46 crew, 3 tour guides. That evening, the ship sailed into a severe storm. Chinese meteorologists later classified it as a downburst, a violent column of sinking air, not the tornado early reports described. The winds and rain hit, and the Eastern Star rolled over. Most of the passengers were asleep in their cabins. There was no general distress call sent before the ship flipped, because there wasn't time. It went upside down with just a sliver of hull above water. Divers later cut into that hull to pull people from air pockets and to recover the dead. They drowned when the ship rolled over in the storm and went under, most of them trapped inside. Only 12 people made it out alive, the captain, Zhang Shunwen, and the chief engineer among them. The final toll was 442 dead or missing. The State Council's report blamed the storm, but also cited the operator's route choice and safety management. It remains the deadliest river cruise accident in modern history. The waist-high rail. Yang Wenjuan was 36, a Chinese accountant from Jiangsu Province, reportedly on her first trip to Macau. She'd come with colleagues on a junket, a gambling trip, boarding the casino cruise ship MV Macau Success out of Hong Kong. On the 13th of January, 2009, she was sailing the waters of the Pearl River Delta between Hong Kong and Macau. Around 4 in the morning, the ship's cameras picked her up. She walks alone onto an outer deck. She takes off her shoes. Then, she climbs over a rail about a meter high, the one barrier standing between the passengers and the open sea, and she goes over the side into the dark. Crew realized she was missing later. An alarm went up. A search began, but the ship didn't immediately turn back before notifying authorities. Hong Kong's Marine Department coordinated the search. No body was found. Investigators worked off low-resolution CCTV stills. Yang stepping out, climbing, gone. They classified it as man overboard with no criminal evidence, effectively a suspected suicide. Her family disputed that, calling her cautious and questioning the delay before the full search. She was never recovered, presumed drowned. The empty balcony. Amy Lynn Bradley was 23, an American from Chesterfield County, Virginia, a former college athlete. On the 24th of March, 1998, she was on day 4 of a Royal Caribbean cruise aboard Rhapsody of the Seas, near Curacao, traveling with her parents and younger brother. The night before, she'd been at the ship's disco late, socializing, including with band members. Around 1 a.m., she went back to the family cabin. Her father Ron woke around 5:15 and saw her asleep on the cabin balcony. When he woke again near 6, she was gone. Her cigarettes and lighter were missing. Her shoes and most of her belongings were still in the room. The family reported her missing right away and pushed the crew to lock the ship down and make an announcement. They say that didn't happen fast enough. Passengers were allowed to disembark at Curacao before a cabin-to-cabin search turned up nothing. There's no confirmed evidence of a fall. No witness, no splash, nothing recovered from the sea. Over the years came unconfirmed sightings of a woman resembling Amy, including a photo her parents believed could be her. The FBI investigated. Interpol notices went out. She's been declared dead in absentia, but her body has never been found. The Dare. Cameron Robbins was 18, a high school graduate from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, days out of school and on a graduation trip to the Bahamas with classmates. On the night of the 24th of May, 2023, around 11:30, he was on a party boat near Athol Island off Nassau, the vessel often called Blackbeard's Revenge. After dark, with his friends cheering him on, Robbins jumped from the starboard side into the water, reportedly a dare. The footage shows him in the water without a life jacket, in choppy seas, at night. The crew threw a flotation ring toward him. On camera, he appears to swim the other way, away from it, and then he's gone into the dark. The crew alerted the U.S. Coast Guard, and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. They searched roughly 325 square miles for about 2 days. On the 26th of May, after around 48 hours, the active search was suspended. He was never located. Authorities treat him as presumed drowned. The case fueled debate in the U.S. about underage drinking on party cruises, though no toxicology was publicly released. No criminal charges were reported. It was ruled a tragic accident. The sail-by. Captain Francesco Schettino was at the helm of the Costa Concordia, a 114,000-ton Costa Cruises liner carrying more than 4,200 people on the night of the 13th of January, 2012, off Isola del Giglio in Tuscany. 3,229 passengers, over 1,000 crew, on a Mediterranean holiday. Schettino took the ship off its planned route to perform a close-shore sail-by, a salute to the island, steering it dangerously near submerged rocks. Around 9:45 p.m., the hull struck rock, tearing a long gash in the port side, flooding the engine rooms and triggering a blackout. The ship began to list. Communications were chaotic, and the order to abandon ship came roughly an hour after impact. As the list steepened, the lifeboat ramps and access points on the low side became unusable, trapping people below and on the leaning hull. The ship rolled onto its starboard side and came to rest half-submerged on a rocky ledge. Schettino left the ship before everyone was evacuated. 32 people died, from drowning, trauma, and entrapment. Evacuation took about 6 hours. In 2015, Schettino was convicted of multiple counts of manslaughter, causing a shipwreck, and abandoning ship, and sentenced to 16 years in prison. The rail as a seat. Samantha Broberg was 33, from Arlington, Texas, a mother of 3. On the 12th of May, 2016, she boarded Carnival Liberty for a 4-day cruise out of Galveston with friends. They spent the evening drinking at bars and on deck. Security footage later told the rest. In the early hours of the 13th, around 2 a.m., the cameras show Broberg in a deck chair by a railing, looking unsteady. Then she climbs up onto the rail. She sits on it, and she falls backward into the Gulf of Mexico. No life jacket. No one beside her to grab her. Her friends reported her missing the next morning when she didn't come back to the cabin. Carnival reviewed the CCTV, confirmed the fall, and notified the U.S. Coast Guard. The ship turned around to help search. The Coast Guard covered more than 4,300 square miles over about 20 hours. They found nothing. By then, she had gone overboard roughly 195 miles off Galveston, hours before anyone even knew. She's officially presumed drowned. Carnival reminded future passengers of the safety rules against sitting on or climbing railings. The case became a talking point on whether ships should be required to fit automatic man-overboard detection instead of finding out from CCTV the next day. The fire doors. The MS Scandinavian Star was an overnight cruise ferry running between Oslo, Norway, and Frederikshavn, Denmark, across the Skagerrak Strait. On the night of the 6th into the 7th of April, 1990, it carried about 480 people, 383 passengers, and 97 crew, many of them Norwegian and Danish. Around 2 a.m., a fire broke out on Deck 3, in a corridor near the passenger cabins. Investigators later determined it was deliberately set. Arson. It spread fast through flammable wall and ceiling materials, up open stairwells and through ventilation, and smoke filled the corridors and cabins while people slept. The safeguards failed one by one. Alarms were inadequate. Some fire doors were reportedly latched open. The crew's firefighting and evacuation training was found lacking, and some crew didn't speak the Scandinavian languages of the passengers they were trying to direct. Many people were overcome before they could find an exit. The main cause of death wasn't burns. It was smoke inhalation and carbon monoxide poisoning. Many victims were found in or near their cabins. 158 people died. The original inquiry named a deceased truck driver as the likely arsonist, a conclusion a later Norwegian commission challenged, raising the possibility of multiple fires and an insurance fraud motive. The disaster drove stricter fire rules on ferries and cruise ships worldwide. The Murder Mystery Night. Christy Ann Manzanares was 39, a real estate agent from Utah, on an Alaskan cruise aboard Princess Cruises' Emerald Princess with her husband and their 3 daughters. On the evening of the 25th of July, 2017, the family was in their Deck 9 stateroom, off the coast of Alaska near Juneau. According to court documents, the family had argued earlier about the husband's behavior and a possible divorce. Around 9 p.m., her husband, Kenneth Manzanares, assaulted her in the cabin. People nearby heard a disturbance. Crew and witnesses found Christie on the cabin floor, covered in blood, with severe head injuries. According to an FBI affidavit, Kenneth told a witness, "She wouldn't stop laughing at me." Early reports muddled the details, even suggesting a shooting, but the official documents describe a violent beating. Christie died from blunt force trauma to the head and face. The medical staff couldn't save her. Witnesses said Kenneth had tried to drag her body toward the balcony and claimed she'd slipped, while elsewhere on the ship, a murder mystery trivia event was running. The FBI boarded in Juneau and arrested him. He pled guilty to second-degree murder in 2019. The phone call. Rebecca Coriam was 24, from Chester, England, working as a youth activities counselor for Disney Cruise Line aboard the Disney Wonder. She was last seen early on the 22nd of March, 2011, while the ship sailed off the Pacific coast of Mexico on a voyage from Los Angeles to the Mexican Riviera. Around 5:45 a.m., a camera in a crew area on Deck 5 caught her on an internal phone, appearing upset. She ends the call and walks off camera. That short, grainy clip is the only public footage of her. She never reported for her 9 a.m. shift. A ship-wide search by the crew found nothing. The Wonder turned around, and the Mexican Navy and U.S. Coast Guard searched, but no trace of her, no clothing, no belongings, was ever recovered. The Bahamas Maritime Authority, the ship's flag state regulator, sent a single investigator who boarded days later in Los Angeles. Their conclusion: she was likely lost overboard, presumed drowned, possibly washed off an open deck by a wave, though they admitted it couldn't be proven. No camera appears to have caught her on an outer deck. Her parents and a later BBC Panorama investigation criticized the inquiry as superficial and under-resourced. The case remains officially unresolved. Bro, thanks so much for rocking with the channel for real. Hit that subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss a single one. And got a topic you want me to dig into next? Drop it in the comments.